ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we might have front row seats to the end of the world. Let's hope not. Let's hope we can pull out of this nosedive and do a whole lot better. I'm here with Paul Labosco. Labosco? How do we say it, Paul? Remind us. I'm sorry.
You can't hurt my feelings either way, Johnny.
Labosco. We all know it's Labosco.
My friends call me Labosco. My enemies, I don't know what they call me.
Well, you're a legend in my book, and I appreciate you joining me. You know, we're just discussing some of these big challenges we see.
And you and mine. What do we have to talk about? What is there to talk about?
Everything, my friend. All of our lives, all of our liberties, they're all on the line right now, it seems. So.
All right, Johnny, I have a video. Can I share a video to start things off this evening?
Why not? That'd be great.
I appreciate that. Okay. I just got this. One of my co-founders at American Health Revolution sent me this video. Okay. Here we go.
1212. Lives and liberties coming straight at you. This message is brought to you by Fruit Trees and Chicken. Stay free. Don't forget to feed them. You know, I love the idea that it's not just the tastiest meals we can create, but independence and sovereignty. That is what the abundance is we receive when we just keep planting paradise everywhere.
Yeah. Now, when you see here are the cornerstones, you see this page here. You see cornerstone 2.
In your email, I'm just seeing your email still, Paul. Are you on?
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I'll come back to that. Okay. Well, I'll stop sharing that now. All good. Okay. So we are live. Grateful to be here with you, Johnny. We had our Founders Forum for American Health Revolution, and we are ready to talk about the things that are really, really important.
Yes, Paul is part of an initiative of volunteers getting the work done. Guys, it's all hands on deck right now. We need everybody to help out, get the word out about what we're up against. We are up against tyranny of the utmost. We're up against toxicity, danger to our kids, and they're the most vulnerable. And what we saw this last week and going forward that we need to get real out about is these liability shields that we're up against. So we're seeing in Congress and the House right now, and in the Senate, they're going to be considering this as well. They're putting forth these liability shields, which is an affront. It's a siege on our constitutional rights. The Bill of Amendments, the Fifth Amendment, right to due process, for us to have standing in the courtroom to say no. To say no to the bad guys who are harming us the most when they harm us, when they harm our kids, taking our kids' rights. That's what's at stake here. And these guys are harming us the most. It's our food and our medicine, and this is exactly where they have these liability shields. And we just cannot stand for it, guys. This is a suspension of the rule of law where it matters the most for our kids who are being harmed by the biggest serial criminal profiteers the world's ever known.
Johnny, you're so right. The term that I've heard used, and I've used it myself, is stealth genocide. This has a long history, and it's been getting worse and worse over the last several decades. I have tied it to the time when we went off the gold standard in 1970. When we did that, we introduced the concept of credit, fiat currency, borrowed money. That empowers all of these nefarious motives, and it allows much easier extraction of health from one person to enrich another, from one group to enrich the real profiteers, the ones that we know are behind these atrocities, right? As if they are using the human body, human resources, our future labor, our mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, and financial health are being extracted for their profit. Stock prices can go up, but why is it that people's health is declining significantly at the same time stock prices are going up? There's a strong correlation there, bud. There's a strong correlation. And on my end, you're showing a little frozen. Johnny, go ahead. I'm sorry. I think you're back.
Paul, can you hear me now? Yeah.
I can hear you.
So
You're good.
So here in the States, we're paying 2 to 3 times per capita what any other country is. We are getting impoverished by our supposed food and our supposed medicine, and we're way over medicated. We're getting twice the medicine of any other country, and we're the sickest. So what is going on? How does it all break out? Guys, it's pesticides in our food, and it's way too much medicine. A lot of people don't know this. The FDA later pulls almost half of the medications that are approved, that they approve themselves. And so there's this really backwards, upside down incentive that we want to do. They want to push drugs on us that have only been around for 20 or 30 years or so. So we're talking once it gets to 20 years, that patent runs out, it's generic. And now finally, if it's a safe drug, we have long-term safety studies. We know it works. But they want to push these drugs that are novel, that are new. And now we're seeing this mRNA technology, which really I put it right next to the GMO technology. It's the same people doing it. It's DNA alteration, hacking that whole system. They're finding now 4 different studies now show that mRNA, guys, it gets into our DNA, it gets into our genome. Okay, so this is really scary stuff. You talk about the future of humanity. We already have a massive, massive decline in fertility. We are, and our kids, the endocrine disruptors, these are hormone disruptors that are creating gender dysphoria. Men, we don't have the testosterone we should. Women don't have the estrogen they should. And these chemicals, these poisons are what's doing that. And so this is just important.
Johnny, this is an existential threat. I have in our health revolution, American health revolution movement, we have our 5 cornerstones, right? I'm just going to share something on the 4th cornerstone here. Our 4th cornerstone, our chronic disease crisis, a model of sick care, right? And we give a summary of all our cornerstones, and then we give examples, videos to educate the public, and a lot of important information. Now, a lot of this is stuff that 99% of the population does not know. And of the 99% that don't know, it seems that 99% of them really don't want to know. There's this cognitive dissonance. They're stuck in fear. They want to trust the institutions and the elected officials there to protect them. But you and I both know that's a huge mistake. So here's a video that I think will really, if I can just share it, it's about 5 minutes. I'd like to present it to your audience because it really gives a great perspective on the history of the modern medical system and how it unfolded. Anyone can see this on YouTube, or they can go to our website and check this out. It's a long video, but we cut out what I think are the most 5 or 6 important minutes here. Can I play this, Johnny, and then we'll talk about it?
That would be great. Could I just say one thing real quick? I was talking about
Please do.
liability shields, and I was talking about big ag, but right now it's the same thing. There's 2 great pieces of legislation put forth by Thomas Massey for the PrEP Act to revoke, to bring back liability for the COVID vaccine, and then also by Representative Gosar for bringing back liability to big pharma for the vaccines. Since they got this liability shield, they have more than 5x the vaccine schedule for kids, and there's not nearly the safety testing, not hardly at all compared to every other medicine, and this is just crazy. So for our food and medicine, we've got to restore liability, due process, hold people accountable, especially the worst of the worst bad guys.
And Johnny, to your audience, tell them that we're not just making waves here, we're not gaslighting anyone. The reality is that the vaccine schedule is designed to enrich the profits and the pockets of these corporations. None of these have been properly safety tested in the aggregate. All of these so-called safety studies have been done one vaccine at a time. But when you go into a pediatrician's office and you get 4 or 5 doses of various vaccines in one shot, that has not been tested. And We need to make this stuff clear because they've been, you could argue, they've been getting away with murder, right? So
100%.
yeah. So here's this video. I think it's very much worth listening to, and we can talk about it on the other side. And
All right.
you'll hear the name Rockefeller come up.
John D. Rockefeller was born July 8, 1839, in Richford, New York. His father, William A. Rockefeller, was a doctor who claimed that he could cure cancers and charged up to $25 per treatment. He was gone for months at a time and would return to his family with substantial sums of cash. In 1865, at the age of 24, Rockefeller bought an existing oil company and gained complete control of the business. Rockefeller was convinced that oil would soon be very profitable. He immediately moved to expand his business by taking over smaller oil companies, thus forming a cartel with the power to control oil production and delivery in the United States. That's a quick lesson on how John D. Rockefeller became the richest man in the world. At the beginning of the 20th century, the Rockefeller Foundation turned its attention to the acquisition of pharmaceutical companies. They started buying them up in order to profit from their patented drugs. However, in 1912, vitamins were discovered and we began the long process of understanding their health benefits. Keep in mind that by today's standards, the practice of modern medicine was in its infancy. These pharmaceutical companies had developed and patented drugs to treat a variety of common ailments. According to the National Center for Biotechnology Information, doctors soon recognized scurvy, beriberi, rickets, and other conditions as specific vitamin deficiencies rather than diseases. Unfortunately for pharmaceutical companies, vitamins cannot be patented. Now, the pharmaceutical cartels were faced with a dilemma. How do you promote the sale of extremely profitable patented drugs over natural remedies like vitamins? The answer? You find a way to control doctors and influence what they prescribe. You might think that this sounds like some sort of a science fiction movie, but that's exactly what happened in the United States. Slowly and methodically, medical practices moved to profit-driven system promoting pharmaceutical drug sales and profitable surgery over curative medical practices. Basically, the long-term management of diseases was found to be more profitable than efforts to cure diseases. In the early 1900s, there were a number of substandard medical schools in the US that taught some rather questionable medical practices, such as electrotherapy. Many of these schools offered limited training and medical degrees that were really not worth the paper on which they were written. In 1910, the Carnegie Foundation decided to focus on reforming healthcare and commissioned Abraham Flexner to study medical schools in the United States. You may be surprised to learn that Flexner had no medical training. Rather, he was one of the country's leading educators. The Carnegie Foundation gave him a unique perspective from which to study the healthcare industry. During his research, Flexner visited every medical school in the US. The results forever changed medicine in this country. The Flexner Report, as it was to become known, was published in 1910. In it, he criticized most of the 155 medical schools in the US and called for higher standards, more hands-on clinical work, and more research. That, in and of itself, was a good thing. And at first glance, you might think that we're better off today because of his findings. Well, in many ways we are, but let's dig a little deeper. The Rockefeller Foundation seized this opportunity to promote their own agenda. They used their influence to help pass legislation putting the American Medical Association, a private institution, in charge of overseeing medical training and practice. Now, how exactly did they do that? Well, some things never change. Just like today, they used campaign donations and lobbyists to further their agenda. In exchange for large campaign contributions, legislators gave the Rockefellers just what they wanted: the AMA in charge of medicine in the US. Unfortunately, the AMA was also heavily influenced by the Rockefeller Foundation, which, as you remember, was looking for a way to promote their patented drugs. Consequently, the AMA promoted allopathic medicine to the point that it became the only approved form of medicine taught in the US. Consequently, doctors began prescribing the Rockefeller Foundation's patented medicines to manage, not cure, illnesses and diseases. As a result of the Flexner Report and the newfound authority of the AMA, medical schools were under intense pressure to conform to the wishes of the Rockefeller Foundation. As I mentioned a moment ago, in some cases that reform was badly needed. However, other forms of medicine quickly became outdated and were labeled accordingly. The Rockefeller Foundation began awarding large grants to medical schools that taught allopathic medicine. Schools that still embraced alternative forms of medicine could not compete financially and were forced to close. In the end, half of the medical schools in the US were closed.
You're listening to the Corbett Report. CorbettReport.com.
Oh, I love that CorbettReport.com. That's what I'm talking about, Paul. They snuck it in there on there. You know,
There's a lot more, Johnny. Not tonight, but there's more to it than what we just showed.
No, I love that. I think that's really powerful to actually, play that and help get it heard.
I think it really helps. It really helps to understand the, getting the historical perspective, right? That like many things, it starts out with the best of intentions. Even the video itself said, the Flexner report being critical of a lot of these universities and medical schools, it may have had its origins in something noble, but when you get this greed factor and this control that the Rockefellers and Carnegies wielded, the profit motive takes hold. And as they made clear, and we certainly see it today, it's not about promoting wellness. It's about promoting sickness and managing it to the maximum extent possible, which is why we say an American Health Revolution, and you say it in your podcast, we are exchanging our health for their profit. It's clear as day.
I tell you what, Paul, it's just unbelievable. I'm looking at some quotes here about this. It really is just the corporations are just taking over. And you look at, I think we need to revoke all special privileges for corporations. None of them ever go to jail. They never die. Meanwhile, we have inheritance tax. Why do they have a special privilege over us when, they have no conscience? Somebody described, they say, if you take what a corporation looks like as a person, and that's what they have the rights of, right? They have rights of people. They have free speech, just like we do. Then it would be a psychopath, because they're hell bent on maximizing profits, and they have no morals, no conscience. The CEOs who make some of these just terrible decisions at the expense of the rest of us, they they can say, well, the shareholders, they can sue me if I'm not maximizing that shareholder profit. So I talk about the GMOs and the mRNA vaccine. They have a fiduciary duty to create blights and famines with the food, to create plagues with the viruses, so that they can capitalize, so that they can, COVID was the greatest transfer of wealth in human history. And you watch the movie Interstellar, that Monsanto is considering doing that to us. They're considering all the ways and what's the best way they can do it. So we need to disband the corporations, some of them, surely. These are serial repeat. They're serial criminal profiteers. That's what they all are, Paul. And what more can I say about it?
So true, Johnny. And it's not just the Monsanto Bayer connection. It's a lot of companies. Syngenta, owned by ChemChina, right? They make the paraquat. They use these corporate structures that have ownership in several countries, right? And so you really can't, if you wanted to sue, they make it very, very difficult to sue. It's a multi-border, cross-border process, and it's almost impossible. It was easier to sue Monsanto in 2018, like Bobby Kennedy did on behalf of Dwayne Lee Johnson, right? But then when Monsanto sold itself to Bayer, that became a much more difficult endeavor. And now Bayer is trying to go state by state, as you say, and indemnify themselves from any liability that glyphosate may cause. And we know that is, just by virtue of what happened with vaccines, that is a recipe for disaster.
Well, I wanted to call them, they're cancer profiteers because so I was asked this question today. Why did Bayer buy Monsanto? So Monsanto had all these liabilities from causing all these cancers. They had all of these court cases against them. And to date, they've paid 12 billion, or they've settled to pay 12 billion. And this is just the homeowners using Roundup in their gardens, guys. Not to mention the farmers and all of us eating the food that we're drowning in. But just to homeowners spraying Roundup, getting non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Why did Bayer buy Monsanto? And I'll tell you why. It's because Bayer profits to the tune of tens of thousands of dollars for chemo treatments, for treatment for non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. They guarantee that they're making billions off of giving people cancer, off the alleged cure, the lousy cure that they're selling. So now they've just imagine. Can you imagine that? It's just it's sick. It's terrible. It's the dialectic we talk about. We got to do
That is evil. That is evil. And so they get you both ways, right? They get you on the way in, they get you on the way out, and the destruction of human health is actually an investment in their future cash flow. Think about that.
It's just it's too much, Paul. We can't. But okay. So this is a little dark, guys. Let me just remind everybody: this message is brought to you by Fruit Trees and Chickens, guys. Local agriculture done responsibly is the answer to our biggest problems. So I do think we got to get loud about these big issues and be heard and stand up.
Johnny, I didn't catch the name. I didn't catch the name of that sponsor. Could you repeat it?
Fruit Trees and Chickens here, guys. Our favorite plants and animals. Agriculture done responsibly, the right way at home is the answer to our biggest problems. And guys, this is just it's honor, a privilege. It's in our blood. It's who we are. It's what we've always done. And I love this idea that the tastiest meals we can create locally. This gives us freedom, independence, sovereignty. It's food purity, food security, everything we need. And but these big challenges I face, it is dark. These challenges are dark, but Paul, I would say to anybody who gets overwhelmed that this is always a human experience, that we do the best we can, that we put one foot in front of the other, and that this is the hero's journey we're always on. And just because it's never been so important to stand up doesn't mean we throw the towel in. So
doing nothing is not an option. That doing nothing is actually a form of support of these continued practices. We, the people, have to rise up. And there are a lot of political action committees who are knocking on the doors of elected officials, the government agency officials, and they are trying to influence rightly the policies and these clauses that keep getting inserted into bills that are trying to protect corporations and these PACs, and we know who they are. They're trying to undo these lobby efforts by the corporations. We at American Health Revolution are the grassroots movement, and what we need to do, Johnny, is we need the people at the grassroots level to rise up together, and together with the top-down approach of the PACs, we can force the hands of these elected officials. Because if there's a senator whose vote is going to impact his own reelection, and he knows it, he's going to vote the right way. If he knows that by voting in favor of Bayer, let's say, is going to cost him the next election, well, we'll make it clear that it will.
Yeah, you talk about the grassroots action, guys. What can we do about this? Spread the word, get the word out, and then if you got a little extra time, guys, give them some voicemails, give them some calls, talk to these senators. They're the House, the congressmen, especially the conservative ones. A lot of them are on the wrong side of this issue. The conservatives should be in on this issue. This is a national security threat. This is getting after our kids, getting after our fertility, getting after our constitutional rights to due process, and putting China first. Okay, so if you're a conservative congressman, representative, and you want to pretend to put Americans first, and you're voting for this, you're either wildly misinformed and completely ignorant, or you're a treasonous traitor. That's how high the stakes are.
The stakes are very high. Most people don't understand, Johnny. We need to explain to them just what is going on. Most people just go to the supermarket and buy food thinking, I don't even bother to walk in the middle of the middle aisles of the store anymore. I look for organic whenever I can, and there's a term that used to apply to organic food. It used to be called food.
Right. All food was food. Make food food again. Make the food the medicine again. Isn't that funny
Food
that
is medicine.
the Hippocratic
Yes.
Oath is do no harm, right? And wow, how we are being harmed by our food
I
and
was
medicine.
I was watching the testimony of vaccine injured people with Ron Johnson and Blumenthal. This Senate testimony, bipartisan committee, right? But led by Ron Johnson, the majority. And I actually heard Ron Johnson ask Blumenthal in the course of that discussion to co-author legislation with him to eliminate pharmaceutical advertising on television. And Blumenthal said, and I'm paraphrasing, but this is essentially what he said. He said, I will co-author that bill with you. Now, that to me is a major step in the right direction. Now, it's only words. We need to see action clearly, but the very thought of a Republican and a Democrat coming together to remove pharmaceutical advertising from television, to me, is a major step forward, and it's a major a sign of the influence that Ron Johnson and in particular Bobby Kennedy at HHS are having in undoing this part of this whole propaganda machine in advertising that then not only gives them the ability to mind numb and create this sense of everything's okay with these products, but also they buy the media in the process, and the media knows where their bread is buttered, so they will never be critical as they should be as journalists about this industry and the products and the practices.
Here, here. Well said.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, we got to get these ads off of TV. We're the only country in the planet doing this. Who could believe it? I was just looking at some quotes here about corporations. This is from the Supreme Court Justice Louis Brandeis. The people made the corporations. The people can unmake them when they become destructive to the ends of justice. That's exactly what's happening right now. Tens of millions of us are dying too early in America, and it's because of the poison in our food and medicine. And they want liability showed so that we cannot speak about it. They want to silence us. This is our voice. This is our right to stand up and to set things right that they're after. Woodrow Wilson said that corporations were meant to be servants of the people, not their masters. And Senator Byron Dorr said, we must not allow corporations to enjoy the rights of persons without accepting the responsibilities of citizens. And that's exactly right. It's like, how many people from Pfizer deserve to be in jail for all the harms Pfizer's caused? Let's say it's the guiltiest of all the corporations. Maybe it's not Pfizer. How many deserve to be in jail? The opioid crisis, right? From Purdue, how many deserve to be in jail for what they knowingly did? It would be hundreds, thousands, maybe, right? How many are in jail? Not one. Not one. They don't even have to put one person into jail to represent themselves, but they want the rights of people. They get all these special privileges. We need to. This whole system is killing us. It's taking us out. We need to take back this corporate charter. This is warfare by the lakes of China. We're letting China, everybody says is our adversary, or they like to talk like that as war hawks. I don't believe it. I think that we got so much trade with them. I think they're just warmongering, trying to sell weapons. But they always want to act like China's the big adversary. Okay. You're letting China take our rights away to sell us poisons. That's what's happening right now.
Right. And that includes the land. Bobby Kennedy, Johnny, has said, and this is one of my favorite quotes of his. He says that capitalism needs to be harnessed to a social purpose where we go into business not just to enrich ourselves, but to enrich our neighbors, our friends, our communities, to make the world a better place. Okay, our 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 desire to earn profits ought not to be at the expense of our friends, neighbors, and communities, but rather to contribute. You know, and anyone who's followed me knows I always make it. I always use this analogy. We used to be like Bedford Falls in the movie It's a Wonderful Life, but now we've become Pottersville, and it's all about the buck. And again, this goes back to the whole credit boom since we went off the gold standard and we went into a period of unsound money, and that's like the devil's playground. It just
1 2 1 2. Can you hear me, Paul? Paul. All right, all right. What I would just say real quickly is that Bayer, this entity, just imagine during World War II, they were making the Zyklon B gas. They literally made the gas for the gas chambers in World War II. They were the Holocausters, or they were facilitating it the most, arguably, of any corporation. And now today, so many years later, what are we seeing? We're seeing that they've bought Monsanto. They've bought this company who is holocausting us through glyphosate, arguably. You know, I look at the data, you look at the longevity, how much we're losing in lockstep with glyphosate. It's in lockstep, guys. Dozens of diseases are increasing. This is tens of millions of us. This is like literally maybe 30 million. Okay, over the last 40 years, it's just incredible. And no other country as sick as we are. We gotta do so much better. And I'm not taking anything away from Big Pharma. Okay, they're even worse now because the situation is more urgent. They're taking us out quicker with these latest mRNA injections, and this is the same story. You cannot trust serial criminal profiteers to play God with our food or with our medicine, with GMOs or with mRNA tyrannical technology. Guys, informed consent, it's part of the Nuremberg Code. Okay, it's part of being a free people, and it's part of having respect for somebody. It's our rights. It's our rights, and we don't have it when it comes to the food or the medicine. What's in the appeal thing? You go to get some organic produce, and there's triglycerides. They find toxins. They find arsenic. They're finding wild things in this appeal, proprietary coating for our produce. What's in it? It's like arsenic, guys. They're finding arsenic in it, cyanide. Why are we finding these crazy metals in something that's supposed to be organic? That's not informed consent. So, and the same thing, it's even much worse with our medicine, especially our vaccines, especially all those mRNA experiments.
Mhm. Yeah, I dropped off there for a minute, Johnny. I hope I didn't cause any
Oh, no worries.
communication problems. Good.
Just jump
Okay.
when you went for a second. That's all.
Okay. Oh, I'm back, and I was thinking also about I came across a story today about Arno van Kessel. I don't know if anyone saw that, but apparently he's an attorney, a prosecuting attorney who's a witness in a trial against some very, very high-profile figures. And I don't want to come out with anything crazy here, but I'm just telling you what I saw. It seems as though this gentleman was arrested, blindfolded, and taken away and removed from all public, access, including from his family. He was about to be part of a hearing involving certain high-profile people I think it's in the mRNA area. This is a Dutch attorney, Arno van Kessel. And so we need to see what's going on here because, again, we've seen in the past a lot of these, I guess they try to call them conspiracists. I just call them honest people who are whistleblowers and very, very important to the advancement of true science and honest discourse. I don't know this gentleman, so I want to, but I just noted the the event of the last few days, and worth
So,
following. Worth
so
following.
Paul, this trial was the first trial to really put onto the stand Albert Bourla of Pfizer and about the vaccine being safe and effective. And yeah, this was the attorney for the plaintiff. And there's been some other shenanigans. And yeah, what the guy? It seems like he was abducted at night with a blindfold, and the police were giving him a stern talking to, and they're accusing them. They're saying that this is a form of what is it when the police they're trying to get him to do not retaliation. They're trying to get him to say, do what we say. They're taunting him. The word's escaping me. Anyways, they're telling him, hey, listen, you better not go forward with this trial. And they're pulling all of the stops out. And so yeah, this is really it sounds almost like the guy was getting abducted. The guy, I mean, you talk about weaponizing the legal system, weaponizing the government against us. You know, we're out here for due process again, out for justice. Let's have some discovery. Let's talk about what's happening. Are there tyrants? Are there victims? What's going on? And instead of having rule of law, having a court proceeding, having justice, this is, you know, Paul, it's like the point of society is that we have justice, that we have, you know, what's right. Happen and we look out for it, and now we're suspending rule of law when it matters most, when it's the biggest of tyrants, you know, like you said, lying to us through the media. And this is, you know, it goes back to this big ag thing and the big pharma thing. It's through the studies, they're just committing fraudulent science. You know, recently it came to my attention, there's 7 editors of journals like the Lancet, of Nature, of the British Medical Journal, of all this, where all this peer-reviewed research is, and they're all saying this is nonsense. Like half of it, it's shenanigans. It's propaganda of the big corporations. We're not seeing real science happen.
I am reminded of the Upton Sinclair quote. It is difficult to get a man to understand something when his salary depends on his not understanding it. And, you know, that just tells us that a lot of these writers in medical journals, you know, and these university research professors and students, the poor students, sometimes they feel the pressure to, you know, yield certain results that that may not comport with true science, right? But they want to get their funding. So all of this influence undermines the true doctor-patient relationship and putting wellness first. And again, I go back to our tagline, American Health Revolution. We are wellness without compromise. There should never be a question about who comes first in this equation, right? It's always the patient.
Americans first. Our representatives must represent us. This is reasonous, guys. I know you got to run, Paul. Ready to wrap it up, but yeah, please, if you've ever considered voting or contacting a member of Congress, we got to contact them all. We got to tell them, especially the Republicans on the wrong side of this issue, especially those in the subcommittee and the Senate and on everybody in the House. We want to wake them up. We want to tell them, listen, you got to put Americans first. You got to stand for, you know, the legislation to suspend these liability shields for our medicine, and we got to stand up about our food. We can't give in again.
Amen to that, brother. Yeah, we need an American health revolution, Johnny, and you're definitely part of it. I'm part of it. I call it a very peaceful revolution rooted in knowledge, where we're not here to just, you know, rattle off these unfounded opinions, but we back up what we believe with true knowledge, and we always seek the truth. And I think that's really what we need here in this country. You know, the people do need to rise up because, you know, this is part of how our country was founded, right? It was the founding fathers like Thomas Jefferson who were trying to get away from, you know, tyranny from England. You know, and that included the food and medicine that they were being subjected to at that time.
I like all of us. Make all of us healthy again. That's what we got to do. Make all of us free again, guys. We got to stand up for all of us. Was my mic off? I was just saying we got to stand up for all of us. Make all of us healthy again. Make us all free again. We gotta stand up about it. The big guys, that Dr. Evil lookalike in the World Economic Forum, those types, they're really trying to pull off this nonsense. They're trying to just imagine the insult of that, Paul. We kind of touched on it a little bit. We're getting completely impoverished as they're poisoning us. They're taking away our very lives from us and our wealth. So can you just imagine to be broke, sick, and dying because of what they're doing to us? And now without rights, without voice, we got to speak up or we're going to lose our voice, guys.
There's a lot we can do. And if people are, feeling motivated, they don't know exactly what to do, contact us at American Health Revolution. Contact Johnny and your Twitter handle, and we'll find out where your passion is and what you would like to do to help us restore what has been rightfully ours all along, but has been taken from us.
Amen, brother. All right, let's talk again soon, Paul.
Yeah.
It's great to see you.
All right.